Hi there, my name's Olivia and this is my media evaluation. The first question I'm going to talk about is, in what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? So in order to try and replicate real media products, we use the range of different editing skills to represent not only the character but also to give a professional look and feel to our media product. We wanted to give the sense that our audience are watching the beginning of a real life media product, not just something that's like tacky or unrealistic, but something that would give a more professional look, so they'd feel more engaged. Firstly, our media product title is called Flashbacks, which gives a slight indication of what the plot is going to be like. And this is what many real media products use, is this strategy. Secondly, as part of my research and planning, I found out that in many real life media products, especially in thrillers and horrors, they tend to film in slightly isolated places and to give a sense of like danger and no protection. And this is exactly what we did, because we filmed in Radnor Park in Folkestone, which is a rather big park, but it's quite isolating and quite a gloomy, dodgy place. So this created us a dangerous setting in order to feel what we wanted for our thriller plot. Also, many real media products leave their film on a cliffhanger, which is exactly what we did too.
In our media project, we use fade to black transition, which is a professional editing technique used to portray someone blinking. And we included this in when the teenage girl was having the flashbacks. By doing this, we wanted to achieve the look that she was blinking, but also wanted to make the audience feel as if they were in her shoes, and this would attract them to the storyline even further.
Many real-life products start with an equilibrium, which means like a positive environment or storyline, and then soon something happens to disturb this happy atmosphere. And this is precisely what we incorporated into our film. Also, linking to Mise en Scene, we have used a typical teenage girl, which we found from our research that many horror and thriller films actually use, because they feel that using a girl is portraying that they're more likely to be in danger. And an example of this in a real life media product is the film Annabelle, which is again a girl named Annabelle who's a main character, and she's the one in danger. In our media product, I included quite a few non-diegetic sounds that were edited during the post-production, but also a few diegetic sounds such as footsteps and seagulls. We edited the sound of the alarm on the phone, so the background music would fade out, and this would emphasise the alarm, and then it would fade back in afterwards. This technique is used in many real-life products because it emphasises what's happening in the plot and helps the audience understand what's happening more clearly. So overall, we have used quite a few techniques and strategies that real media products use to give off a real professional look, and therefore helping to engage the audience towards your film. So the second question is, how does your media product represent particular social groups? The two social groups in my media product represent age and gender. There are two characters featured in the film opening, but the main character is the teenage girl, which is obviously played by me. She seems quite innocent in a school uniform and quite a vulnerable schoolgirl. The other character is a male who's a kidnapper in the flashbacks that the girl is experiencing. He's slightly older, not much older, he's still a teenager, but although he's not the main character, he's somehow dominant over the younger girl. In our media product, it also supports the typical stereotype that males are dominant over females, and that females are vulnerable, weak in strength, and primarily portrayed as secondary characters. So talking about age, all the characters are portrayed as late teenagers, so around 17 to 19 years old. And representing these characters wasn't hard because, as Grace and I are teenagers ourselves, it was quite easy to understand like the attitudes of teenagers. A lot of people believe that in the stereotype that young people dress up in black hoodies and they are thugs or they hang around the streets. So we have portrayed this stereotype in a way where we have contrasted it with a sweet innocent girl. We start our media product off with a positive attitude of life, and then it suddenly gets to a tipping point and then rapidly changes to a negative aspect of life. And this sometimes can be the case with teenagers due to the hormones they actually experience. So this gives a whole new perspective on the dark meanings behind what our film actually is telling and how it represents their age groups and genders. The third question is, what kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why? So I've been doing some research and I found that the kind of media institution that might distribute my media product is Lionsgate. Lionsgate is a Canadian film company that has produced like major films such as Saw, The Hunger Games and The Twilight. However, they do tend to produce quite smaller films that would be ideal for my product. I didn't choose media institutions such as Paramount, 20th Century Fox or Universal because they are known for only producing like major 5-star films, and this isn't suitable for my product. Lionsgate are also well known for producing thriller and horror films. So by choosing this establishment, they are more likely to produce my media film.
Lionsgate has distributed films such as Adoption, Buried or You're Next, which are very similar plot to our film, and it revolves around the idea of someone getting kidnapped or adopted and then somehow there's a mystery behind it and no one really knows what happens. For example, in Adoption, there's they start off a normal life, normal family, and then they start to have recurring nightmares of what's happened and stuff like that. So it kind of relates to our plot as the girl is having flashbacks of what's happened to her. So the research behind this has been quite nicely fitted in.
So the fourth question is, who would be the audience for my media product? So we wanted to keep our media product quite broad because obviously the larger your audience is, the more people who's going to like the film and therefore the more popular it would be. However, in my audience research, I especially focus on the target age range of about 15 to 21-year-old because we found that this age group are more likely to watch thriller films. And our audience research influenced what age range we're going to pick, as we only chose the questionnaires to be sent out to secondary school students aging from year 7 to year 13 at both the girls and the boys' grammar schools. Therefore, we have approached our media product in the way that would be suitable for this age range and produced something they would be interested in, or hopefully be interested in. As part of my audience research, I showed a couple of my peers and classmates what they thought of certain thriller films that I showed them. So major films such as Saw, Annabelle, and I got them to tell me what they liked and disliked and what stood out for them. This helped me to gather valuable information about what to include in my own media product and what not to include in my final media product too. Grace and I felt that having a younger audience was easier for us because being teenagers ourselves, we know what's popular and what would appeal more to us than having an older audience. We also like to think that our media product would appeal not just to thriller fans, but also anyone our age range, because the broader it is, the more likely more people are going to watch, and then the more popular it would become. I feel that we have successfully achieved this because in our audience research it was mainly positive and it was really nice to have some great feedback. The fifth question is, how did you attract or address your audience? We attracted and addressed our audience in various ways by the use of sound, editing and mise-en-scene. Talking about mise-en-scene, we tried to relate the storyline of when the teenage girl was getting ready for school. So when she's waking up, she's getting dressed, she's putting the uniform on, getting the bus to school. to a normal teenager's life schedule. The importance of relating the storyline to the audience is a vital element, in my opinion, because it allows the audience to become connected to the film, which means they will be engaged and will want to continue watching. Originally in our rough cut, we did not include the dialogue, but the final major product we did, because it felt like it explained what the story was about more, and also the sound, the background sound, wasn't smooth enough, so we had to add some dialogue to make that smooth. Also, another reason we added dialogue is because hearing the voice of the character gives an insight to the character's personality, so this helps attract the audience even further. And knowing what the character is like and how they speak and being attached to the character keeps your audience not only engaged, but they want to know more about them. Also, the song we incorporated, A Brand New Day by Codaline, is also another way we attracted our teenage audience, because we know that this is a modern day band whose fan base consists of mainly teenagers, and including new music will keep the media product fresh and updated too. So the sixth question, what have I learnt about technologies from the process of constructing this product? So there's quite a few things I've learnt about technology when processing our product, and it all goes down to the use of the internet. Firstly, YouTube has helped me massively for the research of my product and for actually distributing my film product. YouTube is the world's largest video sharing, and actually more content is uploaded to YouTube in a 60-day period than the 3 major US television networks created in the last 60 years. So that simply gives an idea of how big this online distributor actually is. And also it's free, so that's a bonus. As part of my research, I went onto YouTube to look up different filler films or horror films that other AS Media Studies students have produced in the past. And this has given me quite a few ideas how to incorporate stuff into my own product. I also used YouTube to research how to use different camera angles and how to use different editing techniques and many different software programs too. And also, finally, I used YouTube to upload my own product. And I found that this was really, really easy, and I will definitely know how to do it in the future too. Secondly, I've especially learned how to use my camera called Nikon Coolpix, which is this one right here, for filming, and a tripod professionally in order to get the shots I wanted. This is the most important piece of technology because obviously it captured our whole product, and it was very easy to use once I got the hang of it. Because without that camera it would have been disastrous. Even though Grace did a lot of the filming, we both learned how to shoot different angles and different shots, which is very useful for the future as well, so I learned a lot there too. Thirdly, I've learned as a beginner how to use the free video editing software called iMovie. I've never used this software beforehand, but I'm grateful that I've actually got the chance and time to use it, because it's the most easiest, and obviously it's free too, piece of software out there. So the last question, looking back at my preliminary task, what do you feel you've learned in the progression from it to the full video? So looking back at my preliminary task, I've learned a lot of technical skills such as editing and camera shots, which has helped me to create a successful final product. So I will show you the clip of my preliminary task right here.
Are you looking for me?
Yeah, I would like a whole paper done.
That would be £10.
I only have 7.
That's a shame. Paper. £10.
With regards to my preliminary task, I feel it was rather simple and lacked creativity due to the limited amount of time we had. So not enough of effort was put into it as our final made-up product. Also, since my preliminary task, I felt that I've definitely learned how to attract an audience and target audience, because I have had good feedback from my rough cut of the final made-up product. So this has definitely proven to help me throughout the way. We also only had limited access to places in school and a basic camcorder and a tripod that the school provided us with. So it wasn't the best of qualities. Also, imported into the preliminary task was only a couple of high angle shots, shot reverse shots and scene transitions. So just the basics really. The clips were poorly edited together as it was not consistent and not particularly smooth either. This meant that our clip wasn't the best quality and to the best of our abilities. I also haven't had enough experience in the past of recording and producing videos, so I knew very little on how to use the software iMovie. So at first it was hard to get to grips with, but our product progressed, so did my technical skills. However, in my final product, I've included a significant range of editing skills, camera shots and software additions, as I previously mentioned in other questions. Overall, I've definitely improved in every aspect over the time period we had been given to produce our major product.